I think we all have those moments in life where the world just stops, like a record needle lifting right in the middle of a perfect song. For me, that silence came on November 11th. I heard the news, and it was like the music went out of a whole city. And I know deep down that you felt it too. The entire world of late night television, the world of smooth, effortless jazz, the whole beautiful, crazy, rhythm-filled world of Hollywood just suffered a heartbreaking, intensely personal loss. Cleto Escobedo III, the man whose saxophone was the sound of our evenings, the man who was Jimmy Kimmel's best friend and band leader, is gone. He was only 59. And I know for so many of us, it genuinely feels like losing a friend we invited into our living room every single night. That consistent presence, that comforting sound, it's just gone. You know, for over 2 decades, Cleto wasn't just a guy with a sax on Jimmy Kimmel Live. He was the show's heartbeat. If you were looking for the show's soul, you found it smiling right next to Jimmy. His melody, that signature smooth comfort, was like a nightly hug. It was the punctuation mark to every monologue and the smooth transition between guests. And his genuine, infectious, full-of-life smile was the quiet promise that no matter how chaotic the news was, there was still music, and music still has the power to heal. When Jimmy confirmed the devastating news, you could just feel the weight of it, the disbelief that rippled across social media. Because of their bond, it was something that completely transcended the cameras and the bright lights. It wasn't just show business colleagues. It was a brotherhood, a loyalty forged long before fame ever showed up. It makes you realize that the best parts of life and career are built on the foundations of genuine, unwavering connection. Imagine growing up where music isn't just a hobby, but truly the air you breathe. That was Cleto. He was born in Las Vegas in 1966, right into a dynasty of rhythm. His dad, Cleto Jr., was a talented musician in his own right, but he also worked as a butler for entertainment legends like Sammy Davis Jr. and Tom Jones. So Cleto's childhood wasn't just about listening to music. It was about being in the very presence of greatness, learning the language of showmanship and soul firsthand. I picture his mom, Sylvia, seeing this deep, undeniable musical light in her son and practically insisting his dad teach him the saxophone. That one decision, a mother's intuition, a father's lesson, changed his destiny, and in a way, it changed ours. He grew up steeped in the rhythm of the Vegas Strip, bathed in jazz, soul, and the glamour of those late-night shows. He even tried college for a minute, political science. Of all things but the stage, man, the stage was always calling him home. You can only ignore your true calling for so long. Before long, his dream shifted entirely from policy to performance. But the real beautiful twist of fate, it was that house right across the street. That's where he met Jimmy Kimmel. They were just kids growing up together in Vegas, going to Gwynn Junior High. They'd stay up too late, huddled over the TV, watching the magic of late night with David Letterman. Think about that for a second. 2 little boys bonding over a late night host, having no idea that years later they would create their own equally beloved version of that magic for millions around the world. It's one of those beautiful, rare, unbreakable connections that life sometimes gives you, and they were lucky enough to hold on to it. Before he ever stood on that late night set, Cleto was already a professional force. He wasn't waiting for a handout, he was earning his stripes. Then he moved on to tour with Latin music sensation Marc Anthony, where his style evolved into that perfect blend of pure, passionate tone and sharp elegance. He toured the world with the queen of pop herself, Paula Abdul, in the late 80s, his sax making the arena sing during the Forever Your Girl era. He was a working musician, a master of his craft, respected by every single person who shared a stage with him. But destiny, as it always does, had a plan that went through an old friend. In the early 2000s, when Jimmy Kimmel was preparing to launch his talk show, he didn't call a stranger or a corporate band director. He called his childhood buddy. That's how Cleto and the Cletones were born in 2003. They wrote the show's theme song together, and you know it. We all know it. It's immediately recognizable, one of the most famous openings in modern television, and every note was the sound of their deep, abiding friendship. For 20 years, Cleto was right there, just a few feet from Jimmy. Every single night, his laughter, his spontaneous improvisations, the way he'd subtly interact with guests, adding a little riff or a perfect musical joke, it became an essential part of the show's DNA. He wasn't just a band leader, he was the co-conspirator, the silent partner in all the fun, the friend with the music always ready to play. And now, the world is a little quieter, the melody has faded, the stage lights feel dimmer, and all we have left is the incredible, humbling realization of what he gave us. 2 decades of pure, comforting sound, of genuine laughter, and of a friendship so profound, it accidentally gave the rest of us the soundtrack to our lives. It's a reminder to cherish the people who make your world sound better. And the most beautiful thing about watching Cleto every night was that he treated every performance like a spontaneous gift. Whether he was having a high-energy showdown with the Roots or holding his own in a soulful jam session with a legend like Stevie Wonder, or just trading a playful, knowing glance with Jimmy across the stage, he made that moment and that night unforgettable. He wasn't just performing, he was living the music right in front of us. But what most people didn't know was the fight he was leading when the cameras were off. Cleto was a fierce advocate for musicians' rights. He worked tirelessly alongside other late-night heroes like Paul Schaefer and Jimmy Vivino, pushing for fair compensation for artists in this confusing new digital world. He helped ensure that the people who actually create the music, the soul of the industry, received the recognition and respect they deserved when their work was streamed, televised, and shared online. That was the measure of the man. He used his fame not for himself, but to lift up his entire community. Because behind all the bright lights and the fame, Cleto was a man who understood where true life was found, at home. He was a devoted husband and father to his wife Lori and their 2 children. They built their life in Studio City, a place where creativity wasn't just encouraged, it was the rhythm of the house. Friends and family always talked about his incredible warmth. He was that guy who treated everyone from a celebrity to a crew member with the same kindness, humility, and genuine humor. He had this natural ability to light up any room, and it wasn't because of the fame from TV. It was because of the pure, simple sincerity that just radiated from his soul. He never forgot where he came from. He remained so deeply connected to his Las Vegas roots, always crediting his hometown for teaching him the real power of live performance. Even with all the television fame, Cleto never, ever lost that down-to-earth spirit. He took the time to mentor young musicians, always reminding them that the heart you put behind the music mattered infinitely more than the fame that might or might not follow. And that humility is what made the end so shocking. Cleto passed away after facing health issues that weren't publicly disclosed. His sudden exit left us all reeling because there was no public sign that anything was severely wrong. In the days that followed, the tributes poured in like a flood from every corner of the entertainment industry. Jimmy Kimmel, visibly emotional when he returned to the show, said the only thing that really needed to be said, "There will never be another Cleto. He wasn't just my band leader, he was my brother." Those words, they perfectly captured the immense echoing void his passing created, both personally and professionally. While the details of his illness remain private, his legacy continues to live on in every single note he ever played. For Cleto, family was the highest stage. His greatest pride wasn't touring with a pop star. It was his parents, Cleto Jr. and Sylvia, who believed in him long before the world ever did. And one of the most beautiful full-circle moments on the show was when he got to have his father join him on Jimmy Kimmel Live. They became instant fan favorites for the duo, the playful interactions, the genuine affection between them. It was a perfect snapshot of love, music, and family shared with millions. It was a reminder that the music starts and ends at home. Cleto's wife, Lori, and their children weren't just his family. They were his anchor. They were his reason to smile, even after the longest show nights. His friends always said that no matter how absolutely crazy life got, Cleto never missed the real moments. The school concerts, the simple dinners at home, that was his priority. He understood that true success isn't what happens under the stage lights. It's what happens around the dinner table. I know some people focus on the numbers, and for the record, at the time of his passing, he had an estimated net worth of about $3 million, earned over 2 decades of dedicated work, the show, the live gigs, the royalties from his perfect compositions. But those who knew him best, they knew the truth. Cleto never measured life in money. His true wealth was the laughter, the unbreakable friendships, and the sheer unquantifiable amount of love he spread through every note. His passing leaves this huge, irreplaceable void, not just on the Jimmy Kimmel Live stage, but across the entire entertainment landscape. He transcended the title of band leader. He was the absolute heartbeat of a generation of television music. For over 20 years, his band opened the show. They set that perfect, playful tone, and they brought pure, unadulterated joy into millions of homes every night. His influence spilled out far beyond the studio walls. He was an inspiration, reminding countless young musicians to always believe in the power of authenticity, to never let the industry chip away at their soul. For Jimmy Kimmel, the loss is just profoundly personal. Their story, from two kids watching Letterman across the street from each other in Las Vegas to building their own late-night empire, is the ultimate story of friendship, loyalty, and a shared dream. Their chemistry wasn't written down in a script. It was real, it was unscripted, the kind of connection that could only be forged by a lifetime of love and shared laughter. Cleto's incredible legacy reminds the world that behind every successful host is a perfect, essential melody. And behind every perfect melody was a man with a saxophone and a smile that could light up the whole room. And that final emotional tribute, I don't think any of us will ever forget it. As the lights dimmed on the show that night, they left an empty spotlight shining right on Cleto's stage. His saxophone rested there silently, a haunting, physical reminder of a melody that would never play again. And Jimmy Kimmel, holding back those hard, heavy tears, simply whispered, "Good night, my friend." The studio audience stood in this reverent, collective silence. It was more than a farewell. It was a thank you to the man whose music carried laughter, emotion, and soul through every single broadcast. Though Cleto Escobedo III is gone, his music, the rhythm he created, will forever echo in the hearts of those who heard it. His story isn't one of pure sadness, but a powerful, soaring symphony of a life lived fully, passionately, and joyfully. The sound of Cleto's saxophone will always remind the world that even after the silence falls, the music of love, friendship, and legacy remains.